There's shit everywhere.
Can I get a shot of that real quick? I want to see what Yancey's office looks like. You got spears on the wall. You've
Hang
got.
on. Let me here.
Sorry, I know you just got your tripod on, but we're.
No, that's good. We have let's see, we got some world's toughest mudder stuff there.
Got a few. You can build a little fort out of all those podium blocks you got.
Old
Wow.
school old school blocks. Let's see. Death Race.
Wow. What are all those? What are the patches that are framed in the Death Race um,
Those
case there?
are those are every one of those poker chips
Oh, is that what that is? Okay.
signifies. I got to plug myself back in real quick. Every one of those poker chips signifies some insane challenge that we conquered during our 72-hour death race in 2013.
Yeah.
They were like, "Hey, you would finish some crazy shit, and they'd give you a poker chip, and that's all. They wouldn't tell you anything." And some people didn't keep track of them, so
Oh man.
their ass failed. So I was like, these have got to be important to some. These are going to be important to some point in time. So I kept every one of them, and they were very important to say the least.
That's very cool. So when you got those back, or when you're done with your death race, are they're like, hey, give me those 16 poker chips, or else you have to. What is the penalty for not having them?
They lined up. So about 310 people started. There was, less than 40 of us left at the end. They told us to put our tuxedos on about 2 hours early. We're standing there 72 hours in with a freaking wearing a tuxedo.
Okay.
And yeah, you can see in the picture here.
I noticed you have a tuxedo there. Yes.
Yeah, so you're standing there at Amy Farm, looking like death, and
there's a bit of Bill Murray to that picture also, which I think is quite an honor to even resemble that great man.
So and they're like, I happened to be I think I was the first or second in line, and they walk up and like, hand me your red chip, hand me your pink chip, hand me your black chip, hand me your orange chip, hand me this gold chip, and I'm like, oh my god, and I'm like in panic mode. So I start digging through my thing, and I'm like, I had them all, and everybody in the line just started. You just saw this panic kind of come over everybody because you're over 72 hours. Your shit just gets to keep your head, your wits about you was a miracle. So I had purchased this waterproof Pelican case, and I had a few very specific things in there, and that's where I decided about 10 hours in to keep all my poker chips, man. I had every freaking poker chip. When you had all your chips, they like grabbed you and threw you into this barn and slammed the doors behind you and started interrogating you and asking you all these questions. And I remember they said, they would bring out a deck of cards and they're like, we're gonna play war. You flip a card, we flip a card. If we win, you lose the death race. And your mind is just working on like a kindergarten level at this point. I remember thinking, so you're telling me 72 hours in, they just were they never stopped jacking with the mind. So, of course, I all the way up until that point, there was, because the theme of the death race that year was the gambler. We had, you'd flip a coin or you'd play a deck of cards. You were not winning. But in this instance, I actually won for the very first time. I flipped the card. I think they had thrown a bunch of 2s, 3s, and 4s in their deck or whatever, and I won. I'm like, and then I go to the other phase of the barn, and then like 5 minutes later, through all this bullshit they put us through, I'm finally handed my skull.
Wow.
So, yeah, man. So it's kind of cool to talk about because we're getting ready to have the death race is back and it's getting ready to go down again.
Yeah, and you are crazy enough to sign up for that again. Is that correct? Are you doing it this year?
No, I'm not doing that.
Oh, good.
Dude, that's one of those things. It's like you.
Like
a one. No, you retire on top of your game, man.
Right.
You don't go back to death race
that
at 46.
That doesn't seem like. Now, how long ago was that when that picture was taken? Because
I was 42. I was 42 when I did my 72-hour death race in 2013.
Yeah. Okay, and they're bringing it back, and we ran into one of the. You and I just got off of Dallas last week, and we ran into a young lady
Yeah.
at the Spartan X leadership summit that was not going to do burpees or something like that because she was doing a death race next week. That was one of your athletes, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken.
She is working with Mo, and that is Crystal Clement. Awesome. She used to come to my boot camp and OCR training here in Austin,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm pretty sure she's trained with Mo. I've just been helping her a lot on the mental side of death race training, which that's 90% of it. You don't want to forget about the 10% that's physical, but I'm 100% honest when I say the death race is 90+% mental. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do physically, but the physical side is much easier than the mental side. Even though they wreck you physically, it's just 99% of people whoever quit a death race, they quit for mental reasons, not for physical reasons.
Right, and that's something that you're going through as a group, where you're not by yourself. It's like you have to hoist a massive log up over a wall or something like that, and
There's plenty of time. There's plenty of time when you're by yourself, and there's plenty of time when you're together. You never know, man. I,
okay,
I spent I spent 14 hours all night with Amelia, Olaf Dahlner, and Young Pack at Bloodroot. We're carrying rocks, and
I'm sorry, blood what?
it's Bloodroot. It's a section of the mountain
Ah,
that's
gotcha.
just famous for all of us death racers. But uh, so yeah, there were some great memories where we were together, and great memories where we were all alone in the middle. I remember being that night being all alone by myself for a couple hours in the middle of nowhere. I mean, there's no. I mean, you're miles and miles and miles from any civilization I could pull up on a map, and I just remember thinking, my gosh, man, it's the most free I've ever been in my life. If I think about this too much, I would be freaking scared shitless. Um, but it was, I spent all day Friday with Joe DeSena, doing some documentary shoot work, and just had an amazing day. We should get into that because it's a great story.
Love
But I
to.
remember telling like the death rate, literally, I leaned on those 72 hours when I was getting through cancer in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would think about how insanely tough that was, but I got through it, and just like, for anybody going through cancer, how crazy chemo could be and how crazy all the scans and all the stress could be, but you get through it.
Yeah.
And um, so yeah, but are we rolling? Because I'll tell the story about Friday morning. It's pretty funny.
We have been rolling. I'm a grassroots kind of guy. I like to capture everything on the moment. So we're 8 minutes in, my friend. Let's oh, before can you just repeat after me, please? Can you say hi, I'm Yancy Culp. Welcome to the Obstacle Order.
Hello, I'm Yancy Culp. Welcome to the Obstacle Order podcast. Not my first time, won't be my last time. Always a good time.
Absolutely. Now we got to get through some creds here real quick, and then we'll get rolling. After that, I need you to say brought to you by OCRM.
Brought to you by OCRM.
There you go. And then presented by Mud Gear.
And presented by Mud Gear, one of my favorites.
Boom! Mud Gear is performance apparel.
Mud Gear is performance apparel.
Built tougher for outdoor warriors.
Built tougher for outdoor warriors like you and I, Philip.
That's exactly right. Last one. Gear up to conquer obstacles at mudgear.com.
Gear up to conquer obstacles at mudgear.com.
Gotcha. Now, I'm in no way contractually obligated to say that. It's just off the top of my head. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's roll with the show. So, do you want to open with? There's a couple things I wanted to talk about today while we got you. I wanted to talk about the time we spent together on Friday at the Spartan X Leadership Summit. I'd like to dive into like what the hell that was. It was a great experience. I don't really know how to classify it. I want to talk about that documentary, and I want to talk about your first age group competition, and I want to look at your wall. Oh, there it is. I see your wall right now.
I'm coming back.
I got you, man. I'm just messing with you. Hey, what do you got in those little ring boxes behind you? What is that? Those Super Bowl rings?
This is so
Oh
I
wow.
provide I provide strength and conditioning for a local high school, Cedar Park Timberwolves in Cedar Park, Texas here, and we have won 2 state championships in football. 4A in 2012 and the 5A state championship in 2015. We went 16-0. So they're family to me. So yeah, several times a week, depending on what time of year it is, I get to work with the Cedar Park Timberwolves, and it's just a small piece of my fitness world, but it's something that I
That's
cherish moments, all the
so,
moments I get with high school kids.
something to be proud of, influencing the generations to come, man, because there aren't enough positive influencers like you, my friend. Um,
Our first championship was on the floor of AT&T Stadium where we just raced on Saturday.
really?
Yeah, we won. We beat Lancaster 17-7 in 2012 on that stadium floor.
Very same floor. So many great moments have gone down on that floor. So let's talk about your first eight. Now that we're on AT&T Stadium, let's pivot a little bit, and I want to talk about your first age group competition. And I was a little bit confused by the results because it seemed like you were third place, but the first place guy was a 33-year-old, and I was under the impression that you were competing. I mean, you're a good-looking guy and everything, but you're not in the 33-year-old age division. You're in the 40 to 49, right? And we spoke about that
Yeah,
before the race because you
it's a
said
little
that.
confusing. What they do there is when you click on age group, you're going to get everybody, the 18-year-olds, the 55-year-olds, the
Right,
33-year-olds. They're all grouped together. So my placement for every single person that ran in the age group, I was third.
right.
Uh, Frank was first, Charles was second, I was third.
Mm-hmm.
But in the 40 to 49, Charles was first, I was second.
Okay, okay. So that's what I didn't see. It seems like that would be pretty easy to kind of organize out in with just another drop down, but I did not see that, and I could see how that would be confusing. So I just wanted to clarify that for all of the athletes out there because I think that this year in Spartan, having the classification of age group, competitive, elite, da 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 da, that breaks off into smaller pools, well, different pools of competition, and I wanted to ask you. I was there. I saw your finish. Hopefully, you enjoyed the footage that I showed you. And how
Yeah.
how did you feel in your first age group competition? And yeah, just we'll start with that.
So first off, a couple things before I forget. The 40 to 49-year-olds, we have been kicking the crap out of those 18 to 29-year-olds in that age group. We've been soul crushing them for the record. Uh,
Love it.
Number two, the 30 to 39 and the 40 to 49, we've been soul crushing those 20 somethings. And Spartans kind of promised us that we're going to get the traditional 5-year brackets because I can tell you right now, kind of getting around to answering your question, 46 feels nothing like 40 used to feel, or 41 or 42 for that matter. So I'm looking forward to the 45 to 49 that Spartan has promised us. Eventually, I remember Joe Di. I'll put Joe Di on the spot here. He said once you guys show that you'll come. It was funny. Their excuse was we're afraid that we won't have enough to make a podium. And I said,
That's
Joe,
bullshit.
40 to 49 will be twice as packed as the 18 to 24 and the 25 to 29 will ever be. And really huge props to the 30 to 39, 40 to 49. They have been owning it. We have not only have there been enough to make a podium, we're like hundreds of 40 to 49-year-olds signing up for that and hundreds of 45 to 49-year-olds. So Spartan, it's time to get off your butt and create those 5-year age groups because this 46-year-old it's tough competing with those 40-year-olds, but it's fun, man. I love that they came up with the age group. It really what
Why?
it provided was this massive. There was the level of competition and the level of people that were kind of thinking about competing were able to dive in and really kind of be in that competitive wave where they have a chance and there's like a chance to
Right.
be on the podium. I remember as you know, running a business like Yancy Camp, I remember having 10-20% of my clientele were like, I'm running a competitive age group now, and I'm super pumped about it. What are we going to do to get me on the podium? Those type of conversations were happening, and so I think there's obviously some people that just know that I'm probably never going to compete for a podium, but as people started to age, especially the 40 to 49-year-olds and the 50 plus categories, um, it was great for Spartan. Now there's this huge number of people that want to stay actively engaged in their training and their racing because they know that there's that podium possibility
Yeah.
is out there. And really and truly, as you continue to stay fit as you get older, maybe you were only a good athlete growing up, but if you stay fit as you get older, all of a sudden you will become a great athlete. A fit person after the age of 50, man, people start to fade off. Those people that used to be able to beat you, they fade off, and now you're looking like this great athlete all of a sudden as you're standing up on that Spartan podium at your 51, 52-year-old, age. So good
What?
stuff, man. Big props to Spartan for doing that.
So yeah, I agree with you. I think it consolidates people into different groups. It's not just like, hey, it's you and Robert Killian. Good luck.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. It's like, it's you and Frank de Pascal, which,
Yeah.
like, hey, I might do some age group last year because I would have won my age group because that's I'm never going to beat Killian. I'm never going to beat Crocker, Bracken, or Isaiah. I know that, but hey, I could get a little bit of glory by being an age group athlete, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I agree with your assessment of Spartan making a wise decision. But I don't know why we don't think we'll have enough to make a podium. Like, you need 3 people to make a podium. So and you've literally thousands of people showing up for these things. So, whatever, hopefully, with conversations like this and with voices like yours, we can create enough drive to maybe make that happen. So you had a good time in your first age group competition, right? With a yes?
I'll tell you, man, there were some really cool pros and cons that I think will be fun to chat about here. I got my first experience. I've never done a Spartan race where I didn't start in the first wave. Since 2011, every single race I've ever done, I was in the first wave, and that was you just don't there's no way to really say I know what it's like, but I felt what all the women feel like when you're just you're going to be passing people, and it was kind of cool. A lot of ladies behind the scenes will be like, yeah, sometimes it sucks to have to pass people and navigate the guys, but it's always fun chasing people down. I'm telling you, it was so fun just constantly seeing people out there. I'm getting ready to pass your ass.
Yep.
I'm going to pass you. I'm about ready to smoke check you. It's just this constant invigorating motivation of, man, that feels good to blow right past another guy.
Yeah.
And so I love that. Now, there was a couple times in the stadium where you just can't blow past people. You have to wait till you get past this certain section. And
Find a set of stairs or something like that, and then blow past them on the way down, something like that.
I remember thinking, okay, this is kind of just going to be a 15-second heart rate recovery because I just got to throttle back a little bit. And right when I get around this section, I'm going to blow past this guy. But it was so fun. It really was a fun strategy. So I can see how there's pros and cons for the women that have to deal with it every race they ever do.
Mm-hmm.
They're always catching some of the elite men, and you just have to navigate that. Now, it's definitely a little tougher in a stadium race, I think. But, man, I have to admit, I loved passing people.
So I agree because you've got, you get that, you get to do it more often than if you're running with the elites. My strategy is I was right behind Mac Rush and Jeff Shady, and Mac decided to stop and get water at one point, and I was kind of surprised, but I took that as my clutch position to shift over and shake and bake him, and it gave me a 5-second lead that I didn't let him come back from. But so now we've got those pros, that the pick and pass and that kind of adrenaline rush or bit of pride that it gives you when you have that opportunity to do that. What about some of the cons? Is there anything that you want to open up on besides not being able to start in that first wave?
No, I mean, I think I think, the one con is that we already talked about it. I wish there was 5-year age group for the. I don't think there needs to be honest. But let's talk about age groups one more time.
Sure.
Really and truly, the 30 to 39 masters do not start until 40 plus, and the last 2 Spartan World Champions were 39 years old, Hobie and Cody. And this year, Ryan Woods, I literally would pick as one of the favorites, and he started 39 years old. So how cool would it be to have the last 3 be 39? There's not much difference between 30 and 39. In endurance sports, there really is. Arguably, 39 can be more effective than 30 because you're just continuing to build that row of base. Once you hit 40, you do start to drop off. But so the cons are, I wish there was a 5-year age group for us 40 to 49 and 50 plus. But, I think they did a good job at providing. There was only a couple sections where I really felt like I was bogged down and I could not pass.
Tell me about those.
But it was, it's when you're going horizontal in the stadium versus ascending or descending. You're going along the steps horizontally, and there were some sections where we could run like 3 wide and you could pick a lane. There were some sections where it just seemed like you were in one lane. And if I remember right. So, I mean, it got a little congested in there, but the layout was, I got to thinking, how crazy would it be in a stadium like that if you're the course designer and you've never set up the race before, and you're like, my God, dude, you could spend 2 days in there roaming around and just say, wait, no, I don't want to do this. I want to do this over here. I'm going to change this and change that. You and I could work for the next 100 weekends laying out a course in there, and it's like a snowflake. We can make it a little different every single time.
I like
it's
that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
The options in there. You and I've done that race 4 or 5 times, and we see something completely different every
It's never the same.
year.
I love that.
I love the farmer's carry concept. I love how we started down the stadium this time. I've always said they could make better use of the stadium floor. I loved how we went out on the stadium twice. Technically, we were on the stadium floor
3 times.
3 times. The start, the multi-rig wall,
multi-rig under the A-frame, and then over the wall, and then the final stretch, the final 100 yards was amazing. By the way, I love that you're working on your grip strength while we're recording. I've got my little donut here that I've been squeezing too. Love that. Love that. All right. So, sorry, I cut you off there. We were talking about course design and the snowflake mentality of the uniqueness that is, not delicacy. But what do you think how was this course compared to 2018 Dallas AT&T Stadium Sprint compared to the last 2 years? This was my 3rd time doing it, and you've been doing it for a longer time than I have. But would you say this was the best one? As far as just strictly course design, course layout.
Yeah, I think this was the one. This was the most creative. I think Spartan is real close to having something very special. I think they definitely missed the ball on. There was a couple areas where if they would have taken it a little more, if they would have gone a little more aggressive. And I'd be happy to. I think we should spend a few minutes and kind of sit on this for a second.
Let's do it.
So we're coming right off of TMX, where a lot of people that were in this race, Ryan Kent, for example, qualified for TMX World Championships. Isaiah was there, did well. Matt Kempson was there. Jack Bauer did well. So there's a lot of the same kind of athletes that do well at TMX that are also going to do well at Stadium. It's the only race that Spartan has that can kind of say, okay, we could kind of put that in the same category where you're really looking at functional fitness. But Spartan, maybe you just say, okay, for the elites and the age groupers that are actually really competing for something, we're going to make, like, for example, 25-pound slam balls. It's like, it's almost like there's nothing there. The weight is so light that you can't even say that's functional fitness. Now, if that was a 50-pound ball for 15 reps and maybe a 35-pound ball for the ladies, that's going to freaking hurt bad.
That's going to wreck you. Yeah, yeah.
The where you put your feet on the little caster and you drag it, that needs to be like 30 yards down and 30 yards back, where it's actually destroying your core. The assault bike was a great piece. The farmer's carry was a great piece. Take push-ups.
Even classics like the sandbag.
Push-ups.
Sorry, go ahead.
The push-ups is way too subjective. Get that out of there. Make that something that's much more black and white. Can you give me an
example?
What's that?
What would you have instead of the push-ups? Because I like the push-ups because we don't, as OCR athletes, we do a hell of a lot of pulling and we do a hell of a lot of running, but we're not pushing that much. And I, honestly, like, I was doing push-ups right next to Mac, and in the past this year, and in the past I've had a lot of shoulder issues, but I haven't trained my push game, and I've lost a lot of time. A lot of time being 6 seconds, but that can be a lot of time at the level we're competing at. So in my opinion, I feel that having the hand release push-ups and that quick level change, as well as the fact that they are hand release, which are significantly more difficult than strict push-ups, I feel that it can make a difference between an OCR athlete's score, because we're not a lot of us are super strong in the upper body.
I'm just going off of really cleaning up the subjectivity. If you do box jumps, if you have to do box jump overs,
got it.
You can't. It's the judging goes way down. If you do wall ball, or let's say you're pressing a ball up and over something where you just have to simply get it up and over. Okay, now you have a press movement that is not subject. Some people, perfect example of push-up, some people kind of leave their hips on the ground and just kind of push up. It's just, I think, and CrossFit's been dealing with it for a long time, and TMX dealt with it for that matter. There's almost nothing you can do that completely takes out the judging, but there are some movements where, if I have to throw a ball up over something back and forth, let's say 10 times, you literally can say all you need to judge for is to count your reps. You have to get that ball over, and that's just one example of. But so they were real close to having a race that would say, okay, this TMX Tough Mudder has TMX, we have this. I think with just a slight tweak. I think the slam ball should be heavier, and just a couple other tweaks like that. And now you have something where, the 5K, that was still very much of a runner's. If you can drop the hammer on say somewhere between the 1,500 meter and 5K, if you're an extremely good runner, you're going to do very, very well at the stadium race. Minus missing the spear, there's nothing in there. I guess maybe other than Hercoist, that's going to cause failure. The rig can be challenging for some, but you know how it is in the stadium.
Challenging for me, man. I have trouble on that rig these days. I just this neck shoulder injury has really slowed me down. So I take the rigs extremely with a lot of precaution, at least. What would be one thing I wanted to talk about is the kind of I say this with love, but the lack of new obstacles. Tough Mudder has a team of people that make up. They just think shit up all day, and they apply it. And granted, TMX is presented to a much smaller crowd than Spartan Race. It would be great to find a new challenge, that's other than paracord backwards or barbed wire in the stadium, which I thought was great. That paracord backwards thing took me by surprise, and I was actually able to pass a few people on that. But and I have to say that back to your other point, I think that with if you've got a third class of slam balls, that are 50 pounders, and you've got some locals that are marshaling this event that's hosting for thousands of people, like how do you know? You've got to think about the quantity of traffic coming through. Like a little red band is that going to signify, do I go to the heavy ball or the 25-pound ball or the over the box over the platform jump? You could do some different movements for the elites that would definitely create some different challenges. But I think that Spartan has in mind that the volume that of traffic that's coming through.
So here's where they're making some really good moves.
Okay.
The two best Facebook live feeds that I've ever watched in the sport of OCR, as far as just the coverage was so, it puts you right there with them, was Tougher Mudder World Championship last year for Tough Mudder. That was epic coverage. Hunter ran away with it, so did Nicole, but it was still amazing coverage. And that stadium race was amazing.
AT&T Stadium Race is
going
what you
toe to
mean.
toe, and all those girls going toe to toe, and that rabbit running around with the gimbal camera, that was amazing. And I'm telling you, it was made for great TV. Even though I was watching it on Facebook, I don't think you have to be an OCR loving fanatic to say that was. If you watched Tougher Mudder last year or you watched that, it was very exciting. Bracken, Kent, and Killian were moving stupid fast. They were flying around. And for that matter, 1 through 10 was moving ridiculously fast. Anybody that got airtime on that Facebook Live last year at Tougher Mudder and then this year, especially this stadium race, they were moving very fast. So it's a no-brainer if you want something to be successful on TV where millions are going to watch, or on the new type of TV, which is Netflix, which is YouTube, which is Amazon, which is Facebook Live, all the live stuff, and a new type of TV. We say you've got to, if it's in the sporting world, people need to be moving fast. So Spartan is very close to having something that's fantastic, and I think as far as that is concerned, I think having some of the stuff being pretty standard that you're going to see, and the athletes knowing what to expect, and the fact that they can really prepare and just blow it up at breakneck, crazy fast speeds is really good. I think if that, Kevin and Ian did a pretty good job on the commentary and just seeing the athletes move that fast. I think if you had 1,000 people that aren't really into OCR and you had them watch that, I may be wrong, but I think they would say, yeah, that was exciting. That was exciting to watch. So seeing all those guys and girls on the air assault bike at the same time, just all that stuff was really good. So bravo to Spartan. I don't know if this is where their brains are headed, but that's their one piece of racing that I'm telling you right now is made for, is TV ready. Millions of people watching ready. It's not going to ever be, I don't think, the 15-miler on the side of a mountain where people are separated by 5 minutes and, going 1 mile an hour carrying a bucket. That's just not going to – you and I love it, and you and I would watch that every
I would say
time.
I love the bucket, but I've watched the coverage of is it Christmas Day they release it, and it's – when people start bombing downhill, and they really are racing neck and neck, it gets
fun.
Then it gets very entertaining. But as a practitioner in the sport from one to another, I think we have a niche appreciation of what we're actually looking for. Because I know my parents watched Spartan Race World Championship last year, and they're kind of like, all right, we're watching these 3 women and these 3 guys go up a hill. And they're going up another hill, and then they're doing some stuff 20 minutes later, and this is what you do, huh? And to have something as, it's like watching a 100-meter sprint versus watching the 2-mile time trial. It's fast, it's exciting, and and watching people, like you said, just go head to head is absolutely. I think it's a new realm, and Spartan is doing a great job of branding and marketing and presenting that that in a neat little package to the public. And I'm excited to see where it goes.
I'll be honest, man. I really hope. I love getting muddy periodically, but I'm telling you right now, if I had to pick right now, my favorite Spartan race, I'm gonna say a stadium. I love even at 46, I found myself running, and I look down at my watch and I'm going like 450 mile pace on some of those flat sections. That feels good.
Wow.
Set up that
Yeah.
And dude, you went 37 minutes this year. That was, that was probably, you had a great, there's been times when you and I were kind of going toe to toe there, and I was like a 40 and change, and you were 37 and change. So great race on your part, by the way. But
thank you very much.
I love the stadium races, and I'm telling you, when TMX comes out on CBS, that's going to be some insanely amazing TV to watch. I don't know how many views this stadium race has gotten so far on, but I'm sure a lot of people have shared it, and
yeah, it's
got phenomenal potential. So I wish there was more stadium races. My thing is I think Spartan could use. I think they could expand it. Actually, it would cost a lot less money if they were using some of these amazing high school stadiums, some of these AAA, AA, and single A baseball, stadiums. I think you could. I think you have great parking there available. You have a lot of the obstacles are already in place because it's a stadium, and the build is 10 times easier for a stadium than it is an outdoor beach,
a mountain,
for example.
Right.
So I hope Spartan continues with the stadium trend and keeps it going. Funny story. So Joe gets in, I don't know, like 1 a.m. Friday morning. My phone is ringing. I just fallen asleep. I've been up working programming for Yancy Camp. I got home like 12:30. I just fallen asleep. My phone rings. It's Joe DeSena, 1 a.m. It's like, hey, we're gonna meet at the courtyard 5 in the morning. Meet at 4:45. We're gonna take Cal through a great workout. You don't say no.
Yeah. Cal, that's Cal Fussman, the
Cal
writer from Esquire magazine.
Amazing guy, by the way. You got a little body maintenance going there, I see.
Yeah.
So, sure enough, we get 4:45. I pull up the courtyard. I walk in. I've got my Ram rollers with me, and Joe is like clearing out the breakfast area at the courtyard, and we're doing stretching, burpees with the Ram roller, all kinds of functional fitness.
All right, what is a Ram roller? What is that? I'm ignorant as to that.
You got to check out my. I've been posting for about a couple months now on Instagram. The Ram roller. I'm teaming with these guys, and they're over in Ireland. I would argue that go to yancycamp.com real quick while we're on. You can take a look. I would argue it's one of the greatest, most well-rounded piece of functional fitness training equipment on the planet, because it's a foam roller and a strength training tool at the same time.
Uh-oh.
So go to my affiliates page and scroll down to the.
Yeah, I'm checking it out right now.
Dude,
let's see if I can get a shot of this for you guys.
I could take you in for I could take you through a badass 30-minute workout, and then we could sit there for 10 minutes and do a foam rolling session with the actual tool. They're made.
Does this have a suspension trainer tucked inside of it? It seems like that's going to be.
No.
My page is loading pretty slow. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I mean it's a great strength training tool. So I was taking Joe and Cal through some Ram roller fitness, and it's funny about 5:45 rolls around. They're like, guys, we got to start getting ready for breakfast, and we got camera crew going. Some people are starting to move around the hotel, and we're doing burpees and push-ups and lunges and all this stuff right in the foyer of the courtyard from like 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. It was just, from the outside looking in, it had to be kind of funny. How often do you walk into a courtyard Marriott and see a bunch of people doing fitness right there in the foyer? So That's what we were doing. We spent the rest of the day. We went straight to a psychologist where Cal and Joe went back and forth about some of the issues that they're dealing with. It's going to make for a phenomenal documentary. You guys have got to, when the Spartan documentary, this next phase of the Spartan documentary comes out, there's going to be some amazing content that I encourage everybody to.
Was this Sarah Clark, the psychologist?
No, Dr. Laura Pence.
Dr. Laura Pence. Okay.
She raced the stadium race the next day, and you'll see her in the documentary. She's an amazing lady. I posted on my Instagram. You can check it out, Yancy Culp. I posted a picture while Joe DeSena and Cal are sitting in her. Joe's on her couch where she counsels people and does psychology work for people all the time.
Right.
Cal's sitting there.
Right.
They're going back and forth like Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon and Grumpy Old Men. It's like, it was hilarious. I was just fighting back laughter the whole time, but it was epic material, man. The only way that's not going to be a good documentary piece is if the editor screws it up somehow, but it should be fantastic.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I've got the picture of you guys in the room. I'm putting it on the camera right now. I know you can't see it on my screen, but
yeah.
We've got Yancy Culp behind the scenes with Cal Fussman, Dr. Laura Pence, and Joe DeSena. That's made for some epic content. Dr. Pence definitely proved to be the right person for the job. Stay tuned. Okay, so let's pivot onto that real quick. Let's talk about this documentary you guys are putting together. Can you shed a little bit of light on that?
Oh, I just get to jump in periodically and provide some feedback and provide some. I took them through workouts. I'm not for sure exactly where they're taking it all, but I know Joe and Cal have been traveling around the country. They've shot a ton of stuff. Cal's lost some weight. Cal's fitness is really coming around. I mean, he's one of the greatest interviewers and writers on the planet, man. Cal's a genius.
He's a really nice guy. Yeah.
Joe kind of took him under his wing and kind of put him under the Spartan wing, and he's been doing some races, and they're just shooting some good stuff. So I've been able to jump in a few times and do some work with them on the documentary. I've seen enough to know that it's going to be great. It's going to be great stuff. So
okay. I was so the documentary is going to be maybe something about the Spartan mindset and the overall mission or the ethos that Joe has of creating a kind of a frame shift onto from this kind of I'm mad at the smallest little things, like not having the proper pronoun in front of my name, to hey, let's look at these people who don't have any limbs and they're smiling. So if they're smiling, why aren't you smiling?
I'll give you a quick. Yeah, you're on to something there. I'll give you a quick trailer, just a verbal trailer. So without giving you too much, Cal and Joe, like everybody knows that Joe wants to rip 100 million people off the couch. Joe has his mindset on the best way to do that. Cal kind of has some different ideas of how to help Joe do that, and they go back and forth with the psychologist, Dr. Laura Pence. Joe is a little more, and sometimes I agree with Joe, sometimes I agree with Cal. Sometimes we only have like a 15-second moment with somebody. Like, how much can we impact them in 15 seconds? Joe wants to, not actually physically grab them and shake them, but sometimes we can physically grab people with our words and shake them up a little bit. Joe is going to take that approach more often and just kind of be in your face, where Cal's like, well, let's sit down and talk for 5 minutes. And I love doing that as well. But if you and I are walking to the airport and we want to try to influence somebody, maybe we want to try to get them to sign up for a Spartan race, and we got 15 seconds. You and I are going to we're going to come on like a freight train, just not physically run over them, but we're going to hit hard and fast and like, let's go, man, let's do this. And come on, man, stop smoking the cigarettes and stop smoking and coking and get your ass.
Stop smoking and coking.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one.
That's an old Navy phrase, man.
Okay, all right. Stop smoking and coking. That would get my attention if someone came up to me in the airport and I did not know them, and they'd just be like, hey. First of all, I wouldn't be smoking in an airport. Second of all, I don't smoke. And third, yeah, the drugs are bad. So you need somewhere to be like, hey, life's short. How much time do you want to spend getting to the best version of yourself? And I think that would be about 15 seconds. At least give them
That's funny.
something to think
You,
about.
you thought I meant cocaine. I was actually talking about the Coca-Cola. So, but it applies to either one.
They've been statistically proven that sugar is more addictive than
Right.
that first one.
That's
But we're not going to go down that rabbit hole on this particular episode of the Obstacle Order. Oh, by the way, Mr. Benny Gifford wanted me to ask you about it's a big shift real quick, but we're just going to pivot back and forth. The party at Spartan Race World Championship last year. Told him I was going to be talking to you, and he said, just mention that. So I was like, Benny, I was there. Where were you? So that's it. I've done my job. Just all the arm wrestling. I was telling him about how Hunter. This is actually in the bar after the party. How Hunter lost an arm wrestling match to Dave Magida, and his nose started bleeding. That was maximum effort right there. So we don't have to go down that rabbit hole because I think it's a much more interesting topic that we're talking about with the documentary and how many lives that could change. I don't want to poke and prod too much because I know that's kind of under wraps, but I think that's a good chance to talk for just a few minutes because I know you're very busy. I don't want to take up too much of your time about the Spartan X series that I felt honored to be invited to and to run into you at. I heard your I was like, I know that voice there, and turn around, there's Yancy coaching his athletes as you always do. So Spartan X series, from what I can tell, is their very well packaged presentation towards the business minded obstacle racer or the business minded athlete. Maybe you can help me shed some light on it. I was talking to some of the organizers of that event, and they were kind of like, we have this product. We need to find what stage the proper avenue and funnel so that we get it in front of the right audience, because we have something here. I was kind of like, this is great, but what are we doing?
Yeah. I do have to take 15 seconds and touch on the greatest who's who of OCR gathering in OCR history was the Beat Elite House last year at Spartan World Championship. If you weren't Ryan Woods, Robert Killing, Melissa Hawley, and you've ever raced in the elite field at Spartan, you were at that freaking party. It was great. Those three couldn't make it because they were on the team championship next day, but dude, that was one for the freaking ages, man.
That was crazy, man. It was definitely nuts. I walked in, I was like, holy shit, this is. I mean, you've got, like, I went crazy in my younger years, but I'm in my mid 30s now, and you got like Cole Schwartz and Johnny Luna Lima, and those boys, A, they have very low body fat content, and B, you give them some alcohol and they just turn into tornadoes.
Yeah, it was. There was tornadoes everywhere. So
yeah.
I don't know if we will. Actually, I think we're renting the exact same house. That's when Hunter got our John Sander, our rock star from the Beat Elite headquarters, Human End headquarters, and they won the case race. Little known, John freaking took Hunter over the top. Actually drank Hunter under the table.
Woo.
But anyway, enough on that. Spartan X Leadership Forum. You know what I take from that is I have the wonderful opportunity to do motivational speaking from time to time. I'll speak at graduations and whatnot, and a lot of times
I did not know that. Really?
Yeah.
That's a feather and a half in your cap, sir. That's amazing.
Well, thank you. A lot of times, more times than not, it's speaking to youth. And I will say this, and I always start every one of those motivational talks with this right here. The majority of everything that comes out of my mouth when I'm trying to talk to people and motivate them, or if I'm trying to give you something inspirational right now, somebody served us at one point in time. Somebody shared something with us. They dove in and served us, gave us some inspirational nuggets that we take with us, and now it's our responsibility to pass them on. If we have an energetic voice and we're passionate about serving others, we take all those and we put them in our brain, and then we give them to the next people in line. So anytime I have the opportunity to sit down and listen to, like, Rogers and Lauren Williams and those types and Cal Fussman and my gosh, I'm brain farting on the guy's name. His dad was a wrestler.
Lonnie Main.
Lonnie Main. Oh my gosh. When you get
that guy was great.
Talk with inspirational, successful people, you're going to take a few. It might just be one little nugget of information, but you're gonna like for Lauren Williams, her passion, man. She was so on the edge of her seat. We kind of have the same personalities. Like when I know I'm going on a podcast, dude, I'm gonna bring the passion, almost to tears, and she was the same way. So I was so excited. It was so exciting feeling her passion as she was talking.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I know you have something to say.
Well, no. I was just going to paint a picture for the people listening, because Lauren Williams, if you don't know who she is, she's four-time Olympian, 3-time Olympic medalist, and the first American woman to hold a medal in both the Summer and the Winter Olympic Games. And she didn't stop at being an athlete. She actually started a company called Worth Winning that basically focuses on athletes and how professional athletes and how they manage their finances. Lonnie Main is the son of Moondog Main, and one of the wrestlers from the old school, and he's a corporate coach, and internationally recognized keynote speaker, or executive performance coach, I think would be a better way to put it. He runs Red Shoes Living, and is basically, I got to spend some time with him, speaking with him afterward, and actually the next day we ended up staying at the same hotel. And that guy is just a really nice guy, and B, just a fountain of knowledge. And I just really enjoyed what time I was able to spend with him. So sorry, I just wanted to paint that picture for the folks listening at home who weren't able to attend this summit. But I think it's something that Spartan is growing, and maybe people like yourself can help to package this new branch of the brand to see where it can go.
True story. Funny story here. So you know how sometimes you're talking with people and you just you don't have the best thing to say, and sometimes you just stick your foot in your mouth and you just say something. So I'm sitting next to
That's my pretty much every day of my life. Yeah.
Next to Jordan Rogers, and I know who he is, you know, and we're chatting, and I'm like, I asked him, so what position did you play at Vanderbilt? And I'm like, what a jackass. What a dumbass.
Jordan Rogers, the quarterback from Vanderbilt.
Not only did you play quarterback there, you played in the NFL for 4 different teams, and I'm asking you what position you played. So
what name was on the back of your jersey, Jordan Rogers, while you were playing at these schools? Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
So kind of following up on giving the speakers the shout out. So Jordan is that guy, you know, let's compare his story to OCR. That guy or girl that wasn't the collegiate runner, wasn't the collegiate soccer player, wasn't born with amazing strength and great athleticism. Jordan is that guy that ends up on a podium one day at Spartan World Championships or TMX World Championships, or, you know, because here is this undersized guy, not the fastest, not the strongest, not the tallest, but made his way onto an NFL, 4 different NFL rosters, and got his college paid for at Vanderbilt, and had an amazing NFL career that 99.9% of people that ever play football would be like, oh my God, I would love to have accomplished what you accomplished. But just he outworked everybody with his brain in the weight room. And so you don't have to be a genetic freak to reach your goals in whatever sport it is. And let's compare it to OCR. So that person that's fighting and struggling to make they're nowhere near the podium yet, but they're a pretty darn good athlete. You just gotta commit. And Jordan told his story of, man, he outworked everybody, and he dove in head first until he lived what he wanted to play in the NFL, and he made it. And now he's training young athletes like himself, you know, to help them reach their dreams. And I really enjoyed listening and watching him speak. And he also brought some great energy. You know, he was the winner of The Bachelor, and he and his girl from The
I did not know that. Did he win The Bachelor?
Yeah, and they're getting married. I can't remember the girl's name. I won't pretend to know the answer. I'm jumping on Google real quick.
Oh, that's okay. No, that's fine. I had no idea that he won the Bachelor. One thing that I found was very interesting that he touched on was the fact that he was not the largest, the most genetically gifted. He was like a buck 50 in high school, but he found that his ability to find what he was specifically good at and really sharpen that blade to the point where it could cut through
Yeah.
anything. And that metaphor, what I mean is his ability to outwork people, his ability to focus on his throwing arm, which he admittedly said wasn't the best in the world, especially compared to some of his family members who are also very, very accomplished athletes, even more self-admittedly, even more so than he. But what he's done is make this brand name for himself, and literally having metabolic profiling technologies, or MetPro, up in Chico. He's taken that ability to his story and applied it to a physical space where he is now serving those that he comes into contact with. And I think that's something that not everybody can say that, and that's what made my ears kind of perk up when he began speaking.
But let's get it right.
Yeah.
I had it wrong. He won the Bachelorette. Jojo Fletcher was the girl on the Bachelorette, and
Come on, Yancy. Come on,
won
you're confusing everybody.
and they're getting married.
Okay. All right. All right, man. So let's like I said, I want to respect your time. We're coming up on a good chunk of a podcast here and a video cast, because that's what we're doing right now. And you said something that I know that you know, and everybody who knows who you are and who that beautiful brand on your head and your chest are. But if you could kind of sum up this one question, and I think this would be a good tail end to the show. How do you serve your community? How do you serve? Question mark.
One
1, 2, 3, 4. How do you serve? Sure. He's gonna go Google that also.
Sorry, the dogs were
No, I'm just messing with you, man. I'm just messing with you.
gonna lay it on you as real as I can. There's no part of this that will ever be perfected, but there's roughly 100+ times a day where you and I have the ability. We're going to be in a moment in time, and we have to hit the pause button and say, okay, for the next 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 seconds, or hour, I've got to be as present as I can possibly be. I have to maximize my ability to give all of myself to the person that I'm talking to, or that I have the ability to help in the situation, no matter what the situation is. 99.9% of the time, it's a point in time where we have to decide to engage ourselves in that situation. It's no different than when the race is over and you do a good job with it. You have to, like, okay, where are there opportunities for me to serve the OCR community? I'm going to, after a race, for example, I'm going to try to communicate and talk with as many people as I can. And I may get 30 seconds to a minute only per person, but, my wife said it as we were walking out. She's like, I could tell you were trying to talk to every person in that stadium. And that's just an attitude. That's a decision that we have to make. And it doesn't matter if you're introverted or an extrovert. If you'll just hit a pause button, if you walk into a house, you walk into a party, you walk into a restaurant, you're getting ready to talk to a server, every situation you walk into, if you'll hit that pause button, collect yourself and say, come on, man, it's a chunk of time in your life, and you can be disconnected, or you can get your ass off of the couch and engage in that moment and just really dive in. Ultimately, and you know what? Here's the deal. After that race, okay, I'm going to be in a stadium for 2 hours, or I'm driving in the road with my wife, or I've got an hour with my kids, or I'm going to be talking with a group of high schoolers at a graduation. Those are all moments in time, or I'm going to be in a podcast with Philip. Those are all moments in time where I have a decision to make, and I can be a freaking boring, non-engaged person, or I can dive in with passion and say, I'm going to give you everything I have to give you right now. And it doesn't cost a penny, man. That doesn't cost money. It costs time. That clock's going to be rolling anyway. I'm going to be there. Am I going to create, once I leave the conversation, am I going to have another person in my network that I can reach out to, or they can reach out to me because of, I really got past surface level with them. And I said, okay, I want to try to serve the person in this moment. So you and I both know, man, if millions of people are doing that, hitting that pause button and making that decision to dive in, it's a different world. It's a different situation. So a lot of times it's like, yeah, Yancy's got a lot of energy. It's just a part of it's not a part of the job. It's a part of who I want my legacy to be. And I know you know exactly what I'm talking about, because I feel the same way from you. You want your legacy to be, is like, man, he brought it. Every moment he had a chance to bring it, he brought it with everything that he could. If it's mental conditioning or physical conditioning or just whatever the situation might be, man, you got to commit. Don't put your head on the pillow at night and be like, well, that was just kind of a day,
Yeah.
I want to, like tonight when I put the head on the pillow at night, it's like, dude, I gave Philip everything I could give him. That's what it's all about, man, in every situation we live.
I agree. Well, man, I think that was a beautiful summation to the question of how do you serve. I'd say that you're extremely engaging and you're anything but boring. And I know that everyone listening to this is very appreciative for who you are, and for what you bring not only to the OCR world but to the world itself. Because you're a beautiful person inside and out, man. And I want to cut it there. I want to end it there. Let's give a shout out to Yancy Culp real quick. Everybody knows who you are, but you're always making new friends. So yancyculp.com is where to find you professionally. Yes. Any others shout outs you want to give before we call this a day?
Shout out to my amazing family at Human End, makers of Beat Elite, my amazing Power Systems family. We got a great partnership going with Spartan and many others.
How about that roller?
The awesome shout out to the Ram Roller guys. We're doing some really fun. We're collaborating together on some fun projects.
I'm gonna look into that. I want to get me one of those and see what it's all about.
Mud gear and Mobo system.
Boom.
And I got some really cool irons in the fire with Alpha Warrior. I had the amazing opportunity to travel around the country and the world serving our U.S. military through Alpha Warrior. We've got some really neat things going on there in the world of fitness. So keep an eye out on Alpha Warrior. And I want to say one more thing.
Sure, buddy.
That I don't want anybody. I talked about, it doesn't matter if you're an introvert or an extrovert. I don't want anybody to think that it's like, oh, it's not easy for me. I'll be honest with people. If you think that, if you struggle with being the type of person that I was talking about during my closing talk there, I was, no matter how introverted I think they were, I was a crazy shy kid that stuttered growing up and went to acting school. Literally, I wanted to be the type of person that served people through my voice and my movements and my action. So, and I was passionate about that. I went to acting school for like 3 years. Deathly afraid of every single time I would get out of my car. I was like, I don't want to go in. Sometimes I didn't go in. Sometimes I just drove home and I failed. But it took a lot of perseverance and work to get myself to where I was really very comfortable expressing myself. So I want that to encourage people that may be struggling, really letting their emotions and their feelings and their passion for serving others. It doesn't matter where you're at. I was worse than you, man. I was introverted and shy and nervous and I stuttered. So there's always that. If you want to be that person, if you want to be more outgoing or more expressive, just keep working at it. Keep saying yes to challenging situations, and you'll wake up one day and it's like, you know what? It's not so hard now. And So big props to anybody out there working on it. You can get there, my friend.
If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you, I believe is that saying.
Rock and roll, man.
That's great, man. Awesome. Yancy, thank you so much for your time. Always a pleasure to see you, and always a pleasure to have you on the show. Will I see you at Idea Fitness Convention in a few weeks?
I'll be there, man. You should come to my class. I'll be coaching and teaching a first responders class for power systems. I don't remember which day. I think I'm coaching on Friday. But come by the Power Systems booth. Everybody come by.
Yeah.
If you'll be at Idea Fit, the most amazing fitness convention on the planet, we'll be in San Diego having a blast. I'll be at Power Systems for 3 or 4 days. And we'll have crazy fun challenges going on in the booth and lots of fun fitness equipment. And you never know, we might be unveiling a few new little Spartan / Power Systems fitness tools. So,
all right. I like the little Easter egg there. I'll have to come see it. All right, Yancy, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate your time and everything that you do for all of us. We'll catch you down the road, man.
Always. Take care. Much love.
Bye-bye.